before, we take orders and hands of government.
Yo, today is October 19th, 2022. Welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live. We're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. We cover the breaking news, culture, mimetic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Speaking about the separation of money and state, the state is fighting back. So we're going to talk about some news from Europe, a Bloomberg article basically saying that European politicians want to ban proof of work mining. And you know what they're advocating for? Proof of stake. So we're going to get into the details of why that is. And we also have some very special guests to talk about all that with. They actually work in the industry. They're part of a company called GeoBitMine. Is that, did I say it right?
Yes, sir.
Boom. So
Thank
this
you for
is
having us.
Tommy and Jay Jorgensen. How are you guys doing?
We are doing well. We're excited
How
to
are
be
you?
here.
Happy to have you guys on the show. It's going to be a great panel. These gentlemen actually work in the industry. So I'm going to read some of these articles and I'm going to get their opinions right on the spot of how they feel, right? Because it's important to get both perspectives. And for some reason, the politicians never get the perspectives of actual Bitcoin miners, right? And of course, my legendary co-host, he's always optimistic. The Optimist Fields. How you doing, Opti?
I am doing great, Nico, on my third cup of coffee, so you know I'm going to be hyped this morning. And just a tidbit, of course, the EU is shilling proof of stake. Could have saw that one coming, Nico. So, you know, it's getting very obvious where their bias is. But I'm hyped to have some actual miners in the house today, so we can counter this stuff, counter the FUD, and then of course on the culture. I had an article queued up for you guys. It's a Bitcoin Magazine article that actually made its way on Zero Hedge, and that's how I saw the article. And this is kind of why I wanted to bring it up. I'll bring it up in the culture, but it's 5 examples of Bitcoin's real-world utility. So again, guys, you can't stop the signal.
Can't stop the signal. So anyway, it's going to be a great show, guys. Let's get to it. Let's do this. Number time. Brought to you by NODL. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse because now you can run a NODL through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. All right, everybody, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 19,242. Sats per dollar, 5,196. Block height, 759,399. Reachable Bitcoin nodes, 14,391. Blocks to the halving, 80,601. Halving estimate, April 19, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,977. Capacity value, $95 million US. Realized monetary inflation. Bitcoin continues to take fiat currencies to school, 1.78%. Market capitalization, $369 billion. Anyways, I have a video for us that was actually played in mainstream media. And again, you're hearing that case once again, right? That Bitcoin is actually a net positive for the environment. It actually gives value to stranded energy, but before that stranded energy potentially didn't have any value. So I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to talk to these gentlemen about it. Let's check it out.
Well, it could be part of the future of digital currency, or it could be a new way to clean up the environment, or it could be both. Action News anchor Matt O'Donnell pays a visit to the Panther Creek plant in Carbon County, PA, which uses the waste from old coal mines to power a Bitcoin mine.
It is 2,800 miles away from Silicon Valley. And yet the borough of Nesquehoning, tucked into a valley in Pennsylvania coal country, is the site of America's newest large-scale Bitcoin mine.
What do you think about the Bitcoin mine here?
Didn't know they had a Bitcoin mine.
My father was a miner years ago, but as far as what you call it, I never heard of it that way.
Publicly traded Stronghold Digital Mining purchased the Panther Creek Energy Facility, a defunct coal plant in town, to power its Bitcoin mine. Energy industry veteran Bill Spence says he came up with the idea to make money on digital currency while also cleaning up his home state of coal refuse.
I think I'm curious, painfully curious.
You get the Bitcoin, you get rid of that.
Absolutely. There's a direct correlation with us, with Bitcoin and cleaning up the environment.
So, gentlemen, what do you think about that? Is that true? Will Bitcoin help clean up the environment?
Well, let me take this angle. I think the better question would be, is Bitcoin going to improve the energy grid and the environment that it's serving, or the community that it's serving? Looking at it from the angle in that case is speculative. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because it's coal energy. Is the coal going to sit there regardless and have some sort of carbon footprint there? Or are we going to burn off all of that coal to produce the energy needed to mine Bitcoin on the Bitcoin server network? It's a very interesting question. And I would look at it that it has an opportunity to serve communities worldwide, and I can dive more into that. But is your question more on the Pennsylvania site that we're looking at specifically?
No, feel free to elaborate. Bitcoin mining in general.
Well, Bitcoin mining is a data center or a server center, just like any other company that has to process information. Data, the more data we consume, or the more data that we have, requires more energy. However, what's really unique about the Bitcoin network is that it's flexible. It can ramp up and it can ramp down based upon what the grid demand is. Let's use Netflix, for example. They can't necessarily shut down, or there's going to be a lot of angry people not being able to stream their favorite shows. Or we can use Google as a source. We're on the World Wide Web right now as we speak. That consists of servers and data centers that require a vast amount of energy. So what's really unique about Bitcoin is we can adapt to that and balance out the grid, whether it's through stranded gas or stranded assets, or being on the grid and being able to balance whether it's the Western or the Eastern or the ERCOT in Texas, which we have a lot of studies that have proven to be very beneficial this past summer, especially in ERCOT and in Texas. I'll leave it at that, because I got a lot more I could dive into. But Bitcoin, yes. Bitcoin is, I would call it Satoshi's second gift. It would be renewables and moving sustainable energy movement forward.
Beautiful. Tommy, you want to add to that?
Well, I think, yeah, Jay said it really nicely there. GeoBitMine's kind of our mantra is, what are we doing with the energy? What are we doing to enhance the local economy in the area that we're at? We're kind of all about decentralization. In this particular case, I think they're trying to serve a purpose in that community. It is a quick fix, right? It's a quick solution. It's not a long-term solution to a bigger opportunity that's out there. And I think GeoBitMine, we're looking at the big picture long-term, not just a little quick fix.
Yeah, absolutely. So very interesting. Love all the different perspectives. Opti, what are your thoughts on that? It's crazy how they're talking about Bitcoin the way they are on mainstream media. And I think Jay said something really interesting, and the anchor actually touched upon this as well. Is he said it in the very beginning. He's like, look, you could mine Bitcoin, but it could potentially clean up the environment as well, or it could be both, right? And I think that's the signal there. And Jay, you touched upon this. I think that's what makes Bitcoin very, very unique. No other cryptocurrency could provide that type of feature, right? That's unique to Bitcoin. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, bro?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to comment on the way that everyone was saying Bitcoin mine in that clip. I don't know. It had a funny ring to it when I was listening to it. But another one, another point. Again, you can't stop the signal. Even when they try to dunk on Bitcoiners, the signal is still getting out there. And furthermore, I really like Jay's framing of Bitcoin mining is just a data center, and like we're saying, we like computers and we use them for other things, but when it gets framed with Bitcoin mining, it seems like we're destroying the environment. But as we know, Bitcoin incentivizes good energy use. It uses stranded energy. And, I hate to double down on the idea, but Bitcoin will clean up the environment, because we will use our energy better. And furthermore, What's wrong with using energy? I'm a fan of energy. I do not want to go back to the Stone Ages. Electricity is good. So we need more energy used to secure the best ledger and the most censorship resistant ledger in the world. So shouts out to that local news that continues to spread the signal. You can't stop the signal. It's all good marketing for Bitcoin.
Everything's good for Bitcoin. Anyways, all right, guys, let's get to the news. Another very interesting attack by the EU. We know the route that they're heading towards, and it's interesting because the White House had very similar wording in the report that they released a couple months ago, or about a month ago, called "The Climate and Energy Implications of Crypto Assets in the United States." And it's very interesting how they attack Bitcoin's proof of work mining. We're going to make the case today why I believe that is nefarious, and why I believe that's more so about control than actually caring about the environment. Anyways, let's get to it.
The Daily News.
Brought to you by Bitbox 2 Bitcoin Only Edition, a hardware wallet by Shift Crypto. Crypto like cryptography. It's secure, it's open source, and it's so easy your mom can set it up. Self-custody is the revolution, and the Bitbox makes it simple. Do not leave your Bitcoin on an exchange. Order a Bitbox today.
All right, everybody, check out this Bloomberg article. EU puts Bitcoin in crosshairs with crypto energy labeling plan. Now, what's really interesting about this, block will grade cryptocurrencies to lower power consumption. Move could encourage miners to move to proof of stake model. That's very interesting. Why proof of stake? Anyways, let's get to the article. It says the European Union will develop an energy efficiency label for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin in a bid to rein in the growing electricity consumption in the industry. The European Commission will work with international partners to come up with a grading measure that will encourage more environmentally friendly crypto systems, such as proof of stake, according to a draft proposal seen by Bloomberg News set to be announced Tuesday. The EU will also call on countries to target miners' energy consumption this winter as it tries to navigate the season with far less Russian gas. Now, it's really interesting about the proof of stake narrative, right? And you kind of have to think about it. What makes proof of work special? Proof of work is what makes Bitcoin uncorruptible. It's what levels the playing field between you and the elites. Proof of stake is back to the old system where the holders that have the most at stake, in Ethereum's case, it's the exchanges, it's the Ethereum Foundation, have the most amount of influence over the network. What makes Bitcoin unique is that even if I have 0.01 Bitcoin and Michael Saylor has 100,000 Bitcoin, in the eyes of the Bitcoin network, we are the same. And that's very bad news for government. So it's very interesting how they advocate for proof of stake, but they bash proof of work. Now, we know that Ethereum has already migrated to proof of stake, right? And it was not too long ago. And already 52% of relays in the Ethereum network, since its move to proof of stake, are already censoring, I said that right, for the US government. According to MEV Watch, 52% enforced OFAC compliance. OFAC is the Office of Foreign Asset Control. It's part of the Treasury Department, and they're the ones that enforce sanctions. You want to know what agency sanctioned Tornado Cash for the first time? The U.S. government sanctioned open source software rather than an individual or government. It was also the OFAC. Why did this happen? Proof of stake. Anyways, going on. So, it could put two and two together, right? Why, it's like proof of work bad, proof of stake good. It's very interesting. Just as their use has grown significantly, the energy consumption of cryptocurrencies has more. And harnessing the use of cryptos and other blockchain technology in energy markets and trading, care must be taken to use only the most energy efficient versions of this technology. Keep in mind, these are the same European politicians that literally caused Europe's energy crisis. These are the same people that are trying to centrally plan, pick and choose what currency you're allowed to use and what currency you're not allowed to use. And you had very similar wording also from the White House. This is the climate and energy implications of crypto assets in the United States. Nick Carter did a beautiful debunk. This is part of his Medium article. And I'm going to read you a passage from the report, and then I'm going to read you Nick Carter's response to it. It says the Environmental Protection Agency, the Department of Energy, and other federal agencies should provide technical assistance and initiate a collaborative process with states, communities, the crypto asset industry, and others to develop effective evidence-based environmental performance standards for the responsible design, development, and use of environmentally responsible crypto asset technologies. These should include standards for very low energy intensities, low water usage, low noise generation, clean energy usage by operators, and standards that strengthen over time for additional carbon-free generation to match or exceed the additional electricity load of these facilities. Should these measures prove ineffective at reducing impacts, the administration should explore executive actions, and Congress might consider legislation to limit or eliminate the use of high energy intensity consensus mechanisms for crypto asset minings. Of course, when they say that, they're talking about proof of work. DOE and EPA should provide technical assistance to state public utility commissions, environmental protection agencies, and the crypto asset industry to build capacity to minimize emissions, noise, water impacts, and negative economic impacts of crypto asset mining, and to mitigate environmental injustices to overburden communities. Now, Nick replies beautifully. He goes to say, to simplify, they want to require that Bitcoin miners are bringing new net renewable generation online in order to be eligible to mine. Additional carbon-free generation to match or exceed the additional electricity load of these facilities. No such requirement for any other industry in the US, period. So it goes to say, is it really about the environment? The gold mining industry is not meant to adhere to those standards, or is it more so about control? And then we have the case of Norway, which in my opinion is the smoking gun. It goes on to say, the proposal to ban Bitcoin mining in Norway was first suggested in March this year by the Red Party. In this week's vote, the proposal was overturned as only Norway's left-leaning parties, including the Socialist Left Party, the Red Party, and the Green Party, would support a ban on cryptocurrency mining. Now, the reason I say Norway is the smoking gun is because if you look at the energy generation by source in Norway, 98% comes from renewable energy. 100% of Bitcoin miners in Norway come from renewable energy. It's powered by renewable energy, but they still wanted to ban it. And why is that? Because again, you can't control proof of work. You can't dictate how people spend their money. You can't censor people. You can't stop people. And most importantly, I think this is the difficult part, the hard pill to swallow for governments. You can't steal people's money through inflation. So, crock of shit. Anyways, going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Mining Council, and they released a report yesterday. Again, I want you guys to pay attention to the standards that the Europeans and the White House are wanting the industry to adhere to. But if you actually look at the receipts, if you actually look at the data, you would see that the Bitcoin mining industry is one of the most efficient and green industries ever, much more efficient than other industries. So why is the industry forced to live up to such standards? Why is no other industry forced to live up to some standards? Why aren't the banks forced to such standards? Because governments can control the banks. Anyways, let's get to it. Let's check out this thread. Bitcoin is 99% of all crypto hashing power, making it overwhelmingly dominant in its security. Bitcoin is 100 times more powerful than all competing networks combined. This is why there is no second best crypto asset. To BMC, 99% of all global carbon emissions come from entities other than Bitcoin. Here's his infographic, 38.8 BM, total estimated CO2 generated globally, 0.04 BM estimated CO2 generated by Bitcoin mining on the world's electric grid. So if it's such a tiny part, look, global Bitcoin mining is 0.1% of the world's CO2 production. But if it's such a small, minute number, why is the White House releasing reports on it? Why is the European Union releasing stuff like that? Same reason European Union wanted to ban, their words, not mine, unhosted wallets, because they can't control it. That's what this is all about. Global Bitcoin mining uses only 0.16% of the world's energy production. This puts the world's most secure decentralized ledger at around the same energy use as holiday lights or computer games. Global Bitcoin mining has a higher sustainable power mix than any major country on earth. Bitcoin miners are incentivized to find cheap, renewable, or stranded energy. Bitcoin is more secure than it's ever been. Network security increased quarterly by 8% while increasing efficiency rapidly. So again, dude, if you look at the facts, if you look at the data, they tell a whole other story than what governments would like you to believe. If you look at the headlines, right? Bitcoin uses more energy than Denmark. Bitcoin uses more energy than all these countries. If you look at those headlines, you would believe something totally different than if you actually look at the data provided by the Bitcoin Mining Council, right? So look, is this going to work? No. Europe's just shooting itself in the foot. Europe's just going to have fun staying poor. Bitcoin miners are going to go to where they're treated best, and they're like water. They're always going to go towards the cheapest source of power, right? So they're really not banning Bitcoin mining. What they're doing is they're banning themselves from benefiting from the industry. So yeah, man. But again, this attack's going to continue. And what you guys could do on an individual level is arm yourself with the facts. So if you're at Thanksgiving dinner or lunch or whatever, and Uncle Tom's like, it's bad for the environment, you're like, nope, I got the data, right? Anyways, Jay, Tommy, what are your thoughts on all this? You guys actually work in the industry. What did you guys think about the report from the White House?
Okay. Wow. That's a lot of information that we went over and a lot of factual data. That's outstanding journalism and outstanding reporting. I'm not going to pretend that I'm qualified to talk on the differences between proof of stake and proof of work. I'll let that be left for you. But going into, I like to tell stories and relate a story that's a little bit more tangible. What we've done with GeoBitMine in the state of Idaho, where we're setting up shop, is we had the same issue where the company, a dominant power company there called Idaho Power, they wanted to create they wanted to make it very, very difficult for any of the revenue or possible outside revenue investors to come into the state and create a tariff that made Bitcoin mining relatively just impossible. It wouldn't be profitable. We challenged that with the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, and we ended up finding ground in which the PUCs ordered them to offer equitable and a fair compensation for any hours that they'll shut us off. And that was a big win for the state of Idaho because that's going to bring in a ton of revenue. So why am I telling you that story? Well, the reason why is you kind of talked about let's arm ourselves with the facts so we can prove Uncle John wrong at the Thanksgiving table. While that might feel good and why that's pretty still a win on a granular level, we've quickly learned that we need to speak the language of someone who doesn't know what Bitcoin mining is or what a Bitcoin is. We need to speak the language to our grandparents in 1995. We needed to kind of speak to them a little bit differently when we were said, open up Windows or open up DOS or Oregon Trail, Grandma. Don't you know what Oregon Trail is? So instead of going about it in a way of factual data, which is truth, the narrative is what people want to understand. The narrative is what people will grasp onto. And the narrative for us at the time, and still is, but at the time of winning with the PUC and helping open the gates of Idaho to Bitcoin mining, is that we educated, we took a minute to step down a little bit and help them understand that, hey, here's what it's going to actually do for the grid. And what we learned, and I'll wrap it up with this, what we learned was grid stabilization, low carbon offset or low carbon footprint or energy usage, all that really didn't resonate. But what resonated with them was stuff that we talk about every day. And that was food sustainability and job creation. And when we went about it that way, that's when it opened up the doors to help us find a dialogue and really come together and work. But all of that wrapping up, that's a story that I would use to say, hey, if the United States or the entire UN is also taking this approach of throwing FUD at things and the narrative, not the facts, that's what I would challenge everyone to do is instead of Uncle John at the Thanksgiving table, is go to lobbyists and go to your local economic developers and go to your voting booths and well, not come vote time, but vote for the people that you're educating on what Bitcoin and proof of work can do for the energy grid. And I could go on, but I think that's enough on that topic from me. Tommy, do you have anything?
I think you hit the nail on the head, right? In terms of it's all about the narrative. And I think they're really aware of this. And that's why you have an attack. That's why you have the onslaught from the legacy media. They're not concerned about the data. In fact, they ignore it. It's the same thing. Bitcoin uses more energy than Denmark. Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that. They don't talk about the nuances. But I think what you said, you buried the lead there, which is fascinating, is that from your experience based on having to do this, fight some of those social attacks in your case, from your experience, was the jobs that Bitcoin mining can provide. And what was the other thing that you mentioned?
Oh, well, in our case, food sustainability, being able to provide locally grown and not overseas or over country food. That is an approach that we strongly believe in and that we've taken, which has opened a lot of doors.
Gotcha. Very, very interesting. So Tommy, you want to chime in on this? Do you believe these attacks are malicious? And if so, why are they malicious? Is the nation state terrified that it's losing its monopoly on the creation of money, and therefore it's losing its ability to control people because of that monopoly?
Yeah, I mean, Nico, you're absolutely right. You know, locally here in the United States, Biden and his staff, they're trying to create this framework where they can control any non-bank payment, right? I know on a previous podcast of yours, you talked a lot about PayPal and all the that huge mess, right? And I think, again, the narrative, what is it that they can say out loud, but what is it that they're really trying to do? And I think it's spot on to say that they're trying to control something that they currently can't control and that they can see is growing to the point where it's going to basically make them obsolete. I think that's the quickest and easiest way to say that.
Absolutely. And it's really sad because they don't mind using all these excuses, right? It's injustice. It is, you know, it's about the climate. And it's like, you can make an argument that those are all noble causes, but those causes are being hijacked for political means. I don't think they actually care about those things, because if they did care, they do care, what government would actually do is subsidize Bitcoin mining, because Bitcoin mining, as we all know, actually makes some renewable energies actually feasible, economically feasible, without the need for government subsidy, right? But of course, they don't talk about that, because is it really about the climate? No, I think it's always been about control. And I think Bitcoin has this awesome feature that not that many people are aware of, is that it exposes everybody's incentives at the end of the day. Opti, what are your thoughts, bro?
Well, first off, I absolutely love the research coming out of the Bitcoin Mining Council. I think they're doing a really great job over there to give us the facts. And furthermore, you started off this bit, Nico, by asking the question, which we always double down on, the idea of what is all this talk and counter or fighting Bitcoin about? And it's always about control. And it's very telling that Bloomberg article mentions proof of stake. And I remember we were on this show, I forget what, a month or so back, when the Tornado Cash stuff happened, and we were asking the question, when will ETH become OFAC compliant? Well, it didn't take too long, apparently. So absolutely wrecked over there in shitcoin land. You know, and furthermore, the fact that they're encouraging miners to, or trying to encourage miners to switch to proof of stake, I think is just absolutely laughable that they could even think that they could do that. Obviously not going to happen. And furthermore, there was a comment that Narwa Tacos put in the chat, and he said something on the lines, or what did he say? He says, research shows that adult content viewers use 8 times more the energy of Bitcoin mining, but nobody's going to touch that. Just amazing tad, you know, amazing little tidbit there. But furthermore, I think it's very, very hilarious that the EU destroys their energy and now they're trying to limit people's energy use, in particular proof of work. And furthermore, they try to blame Bitcoin mining and lump it in with the climate change narrative. And it's really just disgusting and nefarious. But just to Jay's point of speaking the language to people that don't understand Bitcoin and latching on to the narrative, I absolutely love that. We've been talking about that a lot on this show, of meeting people where they are and trying to cross that narrative chasm so that people understand what is going on here, because I've learned a few things being on this show as well, and it's beating people over the head with the Bitcoin facts doesn't really do a good job. It's trying to latch onto a story and a narrative that people can understand, that people can get involved with, that people can have an emotional attachment to. And I think that's a beautiful way to frame it. And furthermore, back to what we said in the numbers of Bitcoin mining is just data centers. Like if we can continue to push that meme right there, that little piece of wisdom, I think it'll help our war out there, the narrative trench warfare that we're a part of. So I absolutely love this. And furthermore, we already know where the US and the powers that be are coming from. Again, I've said it on the show multiple times. Sometimes we don't even need to read these articles trying to counter Bitcoin's energy use FUD, because we know where they're coming from. They're going to end it with, it needs to switch to proof of stake. But this is our job. We counter the fiat narratives every single day. So good job, Nico. And to Tommy and Jay, I think we beat a dead horse on this one.
Yeah, so Jay said he wanted to add more facts about data centers, and he actually said something really interesting. He said, I did a blog post about a certain hub, that uses 1.5 million homes worth of energy in USA alone. So why doesn't Bloomberg or the White House release reports about that stuff? And again, I don't think I think it all comes down to control, and that's really not a threat to their power. So anyways, Jay, so what facts do you want to share about data centers?
Yeah, guys, data centers FUD is not only for Bitcoin mining. However, it takes the cake. But there's a lot of FUD on data centers in general. For example, I live in Virginia, and about an hour north of me is a county called Loudoun County. Loudoun County is the data center capital of the world. This county alone uses over 2 gigawatt, or it might be about 3 gigawatt of energy in 1.9 square miles. All the major corporations are in Loudoun County with massive buildings consuming a ton of energy. There's a lot of benefits that come from Loudoun County, though. Their school systems are phenomenal. Their roads are phenomenal. In fact, this was the only county that I'm aware of that had to lower their taxes because they were making too much money. So on my visit up to Loudoun County, I learned what some of the FUD was on their data center was. It wasn't the facts. Just like you said, the facts are is they have the best school system in the entire United States. Their roads are the best. Their lights are the best. Their parks are the best because of the tax revenue that comes in. Yet, people get really upset that this data center just consumes energy, and what is it doing for our community? It's just this big building next to a substation, and it's only 1.9 square miles of the entire county, which is a very large county. So people are always going to have FUD about energy consumption and what is as is. It's just like back in the 90s when it did with the internet. With that being said, GeoBitmine, which we'll segue into, we found a unique approach to turn that frown upside down. But that's what I wanted to add some data on other data centers get attacked as well.
So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what GeoBitmine does?
Well, what do we know about data centers and server computers? They produce a ton of heat. So, and this is probably where my journey started a lot, was meeting with economic developer Buddy Reiser out of Loudoun County a couple of times, who attracted all this revenue and investment to the county, known as the data center godfather. He told me that how much money they're spending in air conditioning on some of these data centers, and what the carbon footprint is for these data centers. They're spending millions of dollars monthly just in AC to cool their servers. And I love the mode, or the saying of Bruce Lee. And I'm going to paraphrase it, but that is flow like water. When water flows into a cup, the water becomes the cup. We all know that. And I said, why are we counteracting all this free wasted energy? Why don't we just transfer that energy into greenhouses, which is a large consumer of heat, and they need heat, especially in northern climate. It's very expensive in natural gas just to heat these greenhouses. In fact, a lot of them shut down because the farmer can't afford to grow. So what we've done is we've created a patent pending process and where we simply exchange heat from a Bitcoin mining pod into a greenhouse. However, ours is a little bit more robust in that we've been able to create dampening and intake and outtake systems with a thermostatic control that controls the humidity as well as the heating and cooling during whatever environment that it needs to be. So because of this technology where I just wanted to solve a problem and it's evolved into this great thing, I didn't have any greenhouse experience, but now I would consider myself kind of a guru in the greenhouse space, was now farmers can work year round in cold climates. There's not just one harvest. In fact, there's 6 harvests or more per greenhouse. A greenhouse, a 1 acre greenhouse will yield 6 times more than 1 acre greenhouse, 1 acre of commodity crop. The difference in revenue on that, 1 acre average commodity crop is $538 for a farmer. 1 acre of a greenhouse is 2.2 million. Now, granted, that's a vertical greenhouse with 1 acre, little over 40,000 square feet. So it's solving all these problems. And you touched on it earlier about water consumption. That actually solves a global crisis that we're having, is we're running out of water. Did you know that outdoor crops consume 70% of, yes, grow your corn. Yes, grow your corn. Well, that would be more of an outdoor crop, but everything else, yes, we grow it indoor. 70% of the world's water goes to outdoor crops, where over 90% of that water is wasted and seeps into the earth. So what we've been able to do is we combine it and coin this phrase, Bitcoin to farm to table. So we've been able to add all that together, and it's created a narrative that has just opened the doors where now mining 100 megawatt is welcomed.
Dude, so, okay, hold on a second. So you figured out a way to use Bitcoin's excess heat from mining to help grow food. Is that correct?
In the most primitive caveman way, absolutely. Moving heat from one place to another.
And again, this is unique to Bitcoin. There's nothing else that could do that.
No other data centers, well, they produce a lot of heat, but if let's say Microsoft were to put their data servers in pods, it would produce the same outcome, dense amount of heat, and you could transfer that heat into a infrastructure that needs it.
That is fascinating. Where do you see the industry 5-10 years from now? Do you see it? Because the way that I see it is I believe that every energy company is eventually going to be a Bitcoin miner. Do you see farmers also getting into the mining space because of the amount of money that they could save in electricity? Look, if you're gonna power a greenhouse anyways, why shouldn't that heat come from a miner and at least you can make some of that money back?
You're absolutely spot on. I firmly believe, first of all, I knew that Bitcoin mining didn't stand a chance unless it evolved. Really, the model of plugging in computers and seeing how many times you can do that wasn't very imaginative or sustainable, right? So I said, what can we do to add additional streams of revenue and additional applications to Bitcoin mining? And this has been thought of for several years. Several people, even college kids, were just heating their dorm. It's not hard to understand where heat is good, right? But how can we standardize that and make it part of the narrative? And so by doing that, we firmly believe that Bitcoin mining will turn into we'll call it Bitcoin farming. We'll call that food farming as well. They're going to be married together. It solves several problems. It solves a global food crisis. It solves energy, and it solves food deserts as well. So it's really a perfect storm.
So why isn't this talked about? Why don't you hear this from the Biden administration? Why don't you hear this from Europe? Why are they purposely leaving all of this good news out? Tommy, I'll hit you with the question.
Yeah, and I think you're asking the right question. And I think we all know the answer why. Because again, it's the narrative. That's a positive narrative that would put a positive spotlight on Bitcoin mining. And the narrative is how you control the population. And going back to Jay's story, one of Idaho Power's biggest narrative, attempts was to say that we were going to steal everybody's power and that we were going to increase their power bill and that we were going to increase their taxes because of the infrastructure cost. And all of those, as we know, are completely ignorant and flat out just lies, right? That's not even close. The facts, right? But the narrative is what they were trying to go with there. And the government, that's what they're looking for, is a narrative to control us and to make us stupid and to say, you know, I'm going to help you guys out. We're going to figure out a way to control this extra type of non-bank transactions so that we can help you guys out. But we all know why. It's for their own control.
Wow. So it's crazy. And it goes back to Bitcoin exposes all incentives. And I think it's going to make people ask a very, very important question, right? Are governments really by the people for the people, or are they by the government for the government, right? And I think that because the government is also in charge of issuing the money, it has completely misaligned incentives. And I think Bitcoin does fix this, like it fixed a lot of other things. But that is awesome, gentlemen. Can't believe you figured out a way to grow food with the heat from Bitcoin miners. I know I simplified it, but that's very badass. Anyways, Opti, let's get to the culture.
Thank you.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today.
Also, I want to give a very special shout out to Pacific Bitcoin's going to be on the West Coast, November 10th through the 11th, Los Angeles, California. Speaker list includes Michael Saylor, Lynn Alden, Corey Clipson, Dylan LeClaire, Jeff Booth, Robert Breedlove, Mark Moss, Guy Swan, Nico, and Opti are going to be doing a live Simply Bitcoin from Pacific Bitcoin. You're not going to want to miss this Bitcoin celebration. You can take advantage of the promo code all caps Simply to get a major discount on your Pacific Bitcoin tickets. Guys, it's coming up in less than a month. Get your tickets now.
All right. Well, thank you, Nico. Before I get into my segment today, I just want to play.
I love cones.
Okay. All right, guys. So I told you guys in the beginning, I saw this article. It popped up on my radar on Zero Hedge, and I wanted to not only talk about this article because it gives signal to the people out there, but this is also just a data point to what we talk about consistently on this show, that you can't stop the signal out there. And the Bitcoin signal, the toxic principled Bitcoin signal is getting everywhere, whether it's on the mainstream news channel or it's going on Zero Hedge on alternative news channels. The Bitcoin signal is getting out there to the people that want it and that will use Bitcoin and that need Bitcoin. And that's just my first point before I even get into this article, because this is what we cover all the time. The signal is getting out there, guys, and it's our meme world and everyone else is just living in it. Continue to spread the sound money gospel and the world will wake up to the Bitcoin revolution. Anyways, this article is on Bitcoin Magazine. It's from Bitcoin Magazine, and it says it's an opinion piece. Of course, I'm the culture guy, so I get all the opinion pieces over here on Bitcoin Mag. And it's 5 examples of Bitcoin's real world utility. Bitcoin has real world use cases right now that are major improvements on the dollar and other fiat currencies, even during a bear market. And so he starts off with, believe it or not, Bitcoin is money. This may be a hard sell to many in the Western world, specifically here in the United States, but the world is waking up to the idea of Bitcoin as money. And I don't know about you, but the ever-decreasing value of my dollars is one of the reasons why Trent learned about Bitcoin in the first place. Whoever said we needed to have inflation in the first place? Well, apparently it was John Maynard Keynes. Anyway, the point. It can be difficult for Western civilizations to understand why Bitcoin is important. Many are blinded by the strength of the dollar and unable to appreciate the Bitcoin utility. So this is why this article was created. The first one is, and this is by far, in my opinion, the most important point, Bitcoin provides neutralship resistant money. And as we've seen in the last 2 years, since we had the world shut down based on a virus that will go unnamed because they will censor our YouTube channel. There's been a lot of censorship going on, and there's Twitter deplatformings. There is the PayPal news that we covered last week. There's the Yay news with JP Morgan, but we also had the news of the Canadian truckers and how they were just protesting, and then they got their money turned off. And this is why we believe in Bitcoin so much. Censorship resistant money, a hard cap money, it's the best way to store your value. But furthermore, he asks, today it's a trucker protest, and next, what if it's a women's right protest? What if it's a protest against the abuses of your country you're allied with? Who decides? And furthermore, we haven't covered this on the show, but there is a Bitcoiner currently in Iran that basically got taken away and arrested because he's a Bitcoiner and wasn't even a part of the protest. So like, this stuff's happening in real time, guys. But Bitcoin doesn't care. You can't stop Bitcoin. Bitcoin is incentivizing the freedom of association. Bitcoin is censorship resistant money, and you can say what you want on the internet without the fear of getting canceled. This is a feature, not a bug. If you don't have freedom of speech, if you don't have freedom of transaction, you can never get to the truth. And as we show every single day on this show, the powers that be do not want you to associate freely. They do not want you to congregate about the truth because it exposes all their lies. And this is what they have right now, the monopoly on truth. But we're here to continue to spread the signal that you can't stop Bitcoin. You can only ban yourself from Bitcoin. Anyways, point number 2, you can take your Bitcoin anywhere without anyone else knowing. We cover this all the time. The jurisdictional arbitrage with Bitcoin might be one of the most important aspects of Bitcoin. I say it all the time on this show. There's only 2 votes that matter, with your feet and with your money, and Bitcoin incentivizes both. If you don't like your government, if you aren't being treated well, you can leave with 24 words in your brain with millions, if not billions and trillions of dollars. Any citizen can get up and go when he needs to. This is a feature, not a bug. Again, these people want to corral you into places and make sure that you're a tax slave. Anyways, number 3, Bitcoin mining and the energy grid are a match made in heaven. As we just covered, one might argue that the energy Bitcoin consumes is a bad thing, but as we just showed you in the news segment, Bitcoin is incentivizing the better use of energy and also adding to human ingenuity and finding new use cases for Bitcoin mining, creating food sources. Like, Bitcoin mining really is helping the world, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. Long story short, Bitcoin miners stabilize entire energy grids, and we are helping the world. We are incentivizing jobs. I just saw this morning, Right Blockchain announced one of the biggest new projects, a 1 gigawatt farm that is being created, and they are creating jobs. Like, Bitcoin miners create jobs. Again, I say it all the time. Energy use is good. Don't let them bring us back to the Stone Ages. This is absolutely insane that we are actually having these conversations with these ESG psychopaths telling us how to use our money our energy. It's crazy talk. This is collectivist nonsense. And number 4, Bitcoin is open 24/7. I know this is a feature that might be an easy sell for people. Banks have holidays. Banks are closed on the weekends. Banks are closed at night, but Bitcoin runs 24/7 and has a 99.99% uptime. Again, you can't cancel Bitcoin. You can't turn off Bitcoin. There's no like power plug to turn it off. This is the incentive. The Bitcoin has no holidays. There's no circuit breakers during the volatile times. TikTok next block. Bitcoin is open 24/7. And this last one, might be a little contentious, but I still like this. 5, micropayments and the ease of internet commerce. Not to just jump on the micropayments portion, because it will incentivize micropayments. And this whole article is about, like getting articles online and not having to subscribe and put your credit card information, your personal information on the internet. But I really like the angle of the ease of internet commerce. This is one of the features of Bitcoin. It has allowed you to move currency, to move money, to move value across the internet in 10 minutes, and no other currency in the world can do that. These are features, and these are the utilities of Bitcoin. So again, to end this, Bitcoin isn't dead. This is a bear market. Too many are fixated on the Bitcoin price, but what most don't realize is that Bitcoin continue to work as advertised. It's reliable, it's open to all, and there are no rules, only rulers. So just to recap here, guys, first off, Bitcoin provides neutral, censorship-resistant money. Bitcoin, you can take it anywhere. You're not liable to crazy authoritarian governments. Bitcoin mining and the energy grid are a match made in heaven. And Bitcoin is open 24/7, and it is incentivizing the new uses of micropayments and moving value over the internet. Bitcoin is objectively better money, and I look forward to everyone else coming to this realization. And we say this all the time. I did today's segment because I'm trying to give short clips so that we can give this information to people so that they can get the idea that Bitcoin does have use. It's not just for speculation. It is not just for people trying to get fat gains. We say it all the time on this show. Fix the money, fix the world. The most important thing in the world right now is fixing the money, because our money is broken. The financial system is on its last leg, and we need to continue to spread the sound money gospel going forward, that Bitcoin does help the world. Bitcoin does help the energy grid. Bitcoin does have personal value to people all around the world, and the world is waking up to this. Bitcoin is incentivizing new sectors of human ingenuity, and anyone that is against Bitcoin is that they're, as we said yesterday on the show, they're either dumb, they either have an angle that they don't want Bitcoin to succeed, or they have just straight up nefarious hate towards Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the best money in the world, and in my opinion, I say it all the time, we should have more energy use in Bitcoin. Bitcoin helps us in so many ways that we are not even close to seeing what these effects are going forward into the world, and we will continue to see even greater effects going on, and we will continue to see society improve in ways that we could never have thought of today. And there is use case out there, people. Bitcoin helps you in very many ways. Bitcoin is a personal thing, and personally, it's helped me. It's changed my life, and I just want to continue to spread this message to people so that they can understand that Bitcoin is here to help you. Bitcoin is, and that's all that matters. Anyways, end of rant. Jump in, Nico.
Amen. Yeah, no, and again, like all the things that you mentioned real quick are all things that only Bitcoin can do, and they're unique to Bitcoin, right? So I think that's really what makes it special. It kind of blew my mind today, right? Is another thing that we didn't know Bitcoin could be used for, right? The excess heat from miners is being used to grow food, and that's amazing. And I actually want to use that saying that and you said something earlier about, Jay, you said something earlier about how it could fix the desertification, right? How certain places are deserts.
Decentralization.
No, not decentralization, but something about deserts.
Yes, food deserts. It will provide local food sustainability and local food growth, where we're decentralizing currency and we're bringing stranded assets of energy, which allows us to mine Bitcoin. We can also bring greenhouses with us to these areas that will provide food for the local economy.
Yeah, and again, also unique to Bitcoin. Tommy, you want to chime in before we get to the meme review?
No, just Opti. Wow, way to hit that out of the park with that. So that that was spot on, and it made my heart flutter. So well said there. Good stuff.
Opti, the optimist, passing on the optimism to everybody else. Anyways, let's check out the meme review.
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by CipherSafe. Don't be that person that loses their Bitcoin seed due to fire damage, water damage, dog attacks. Back up your generational Bitcoin wealth on steel, and there's no better place to do it than the Cypher Grid by CipherSafe. And now check out their new Bitcoin art, the Bitcoin Rulux triangle, only on cyphersafe.io.
Beautiful, guys. Well, you already know the meme we've created for the meme review. Tweets are the bullets and memes are the artillery in this information war, or as I like to call it, this disinformation war, because as we laid out in the first part, it is not about the facts, it is about the narrative, and we need to continue to push the sound money gospel and the narrative that Bitcoin is here to help. Bitcoin is helping in real time, and it's just beautiful to watch. Anyways, this first meme is by Documenting Bitcoin, and it says Bitcoin is trending to 1 billion users within 3 years, and it's a chart by Willy Woo, and you can see the world population, internet users going up, and Bitcoin on its rise to 1 billion plus users. And I wanted to add this one because it makes our point for us that Bitcoin is adopting at breakneck speeds. And you need to, lower your time preference a little bit and understand that it's happening in real time. It's probably not as fast as you think. Yes, the Bitcoin price is fluctuating a little bit, but there is no bear market in Bitcoin. It is simply an adoption cycle. This next one is by Sarah Designs at Sarah Designs 8. And I really love this one. I know all you guys have read the Bitcoin Standard, so you can get where this is coming from. But we got a Rise Stone here. I forget what island it is. Maybe Nico can remember. He's got a better memory than me.
No idea.
But, okay, it's we got a Rise Stone, one of the natives from the island with the Rise Stone sitting next to it, and it goes how it started and how it's going, and it's just a Rise Stone with the Bitcoin logo on top of it. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, and this next one, we got tagged in this the other day. And it goes, I was having this conversation with Jeff Booth at an after party on Saturday, and it's very nice to meet Bitcoiners. So maybe it can make the Bitcoin meme review on Simply Bitcoin. I was like, all right, bet, we got you. So it's back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but this is a variation, Bitcoin hierarchy of needs. And we have the psychological, we got the HODL, we got the safety, you got your cold storage. We got love and belonging. It's spending Bitcoin with Bitcoiners. And then we got esteem, and that's setting up your multi-sig. And then the self-actualization is living on the Bitcoin standard. I love this. This is a great meme. I'm sure he can elaborate a lot more, but hey, it's a meme form. And this next one, my boy Nick Can't Mine, he said, also another version of this pyramid. So we're going to continue to jump on the Bitcoin's hierarchy of needs. And this version goes, at the bottom, we have network needs, fair launch, no pre-mine, proof of work distribution, the next level up, distributed network, miners, nodes, and devs, and then the monetary needs on top, the store of value savings technology, the means of exchange, Bitcoin's transaction per second, the lightning network, and then at the very tip, unit of account, aka hyper Bitcoinization. This is where we're going, guys, and we have it in hierarchies, Bitcoin's hierarchy of needs. And this next one, Nico, we got tagged in this, and I felt a little flutter in my Grinch heart over here. And this is by Bitcoin Memes, and he says simple questions inspired by Nico and Opti at simplybitcoin.tv. So simple questions, it's a poem. I hope I do it justice. He goes, when people trash talk Bitcoin, ask them some simple questions, see if they've done their homework. Below are a few suggestions. Who started Bitcoin years ago? And what inspired this founder? And how does fiat money work? And why Bitcoin might be sounder? When was Bitcoin started? What's relevant about that year? And from the short white paper, what is meant by peer-to-peer? Name 2 countries where it's used to protect from high inflation, and 2 more where Bitcoin helps the people in oppressed nations. Maybe you know, maybe they don't. Yet you'll see how much they know, and maybe asking these questions will cause their knowledge to grow. An opinion based in ignorance, it's worth not very great, and maybe they will do the work to improve their financial fate. And just one little love letter to us, Nico, says this poem was inspired by us because we're always encouraging people to reach out and share the hope and freedom of Bitcoin with others. And we inspired that. So shout out to you guys. Really appreciate it. This next one is by our friends over at CoinBits. They continue to drop really great threads on Twitter. I'd encourage you guys to follow them. They're doing a great job in educating us. And they got George Orwell on normies, got Bitcoin. And he goes, this is from George Orwell, 1984, written in 1949. He goes, the people will not revolt. They will not look up from their screens long enough to notice what's happening. I think I need some horns for that one, because we are seeing this happen in real time. While Bitcoin is taking over the world, people are still arguing about a whole bunch of nonsense. Anyways, this next one, we had Beauty on yesterday, and I highly recommend you go watch that show because it was a pure signal show. And then he came in our spaces and he said basically the same thing. Should Bitcoin fail, you will apologize to your sons for your failure. And the idea is there is no marketing team of Bitcoin. We are the ones pushing the sound money gospel. But he's quote tweeting this ad. It says, an American ad issued by the Freedoms Foundation in 1961, showing a father apologizing to his son for his complacency during the rise of communism. And I'm going to update it a little bit. So as Nico always tells me, I need to work on my phrasing. And so he goes, it can happen here. My dear son, I am so sorry you're going to have to live under collectivism. It seemed to come so quickly. I didn't think their lies could win. I guess we were so busy with other things. Not enough of us spoke up for freedom when we had the chance. You can speak up for freedom right now. Continue to spread the sound money gospel, because should Bitcoin fail, you will apologize to your sons for your failure. It is upon us to spread the sound money gospel. There is no PR team here. We are the ones pushing this. And on that note, we are the ones pushing people to use Bitcoin wallets. You know, we like Bitbox. I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin Core. We love Seed Signer. We like Sparrow, Spectre, Moon Wallet, Breeze Wallet, Blue Wallet, Wallet of Satoshi. These are the tools that we love. And you need to continue to get people to these tools. Oh, wait, Pine Wallet. I actually did. Pine and Moon are really, they're kind of killing it over there, Nico. I think, all right, anyways. All right, today's score. I gave you guys my blue XLR cable that my friend made, and I'm going to give you, oh, you can't see it, my yellow XLR cable that is invisible now that I made to create all this content for you guys. Nico, what's your score?
Dude, I'm going to give it this empty water bottle of Zephyr Hills. If you live in Florida, you know. Guys, this is Simply Bitcoin Live. Put your score in the live chat, and we will read it live on the show. Jay, what would you give those memes?
An 8.
An 8. Okay, number score. All right, Tommy, what would you give those memes?
I will give it a calculator 9.
A calculator 9. All right, very good scores. Anyways, let's check out some of the audience scores. Beware and focus. Smoked salmon with hassas. BTC Pins, I give the memes the strategic petroleum reserve. All right, nope, no today. I give those memes a Bitcoin mine. Very nice, very good score. Jason gives them, I give those memes a fresh copy of BT Weekly. Shout out Becca. Bitcoin Ascent, I give those memes all the food grown with heat from Bitcoin mining. Very clever. Yeah. Mr. Robot, rate the memes a beef box because ramen is fiat. Very, very good scores.
I have another answer. The other answer is I give the memes today the 5 stages of grief completion.
Let's go. I give those memes, Z-Logic says, I give those memes a Bitcoin Robocop. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for the meme scores. Don't forget to check out Simply Bitcoin, the written version, Simply Bitcoin Unfiltered. Go to www.simplybitcoin.news and join our Telegram group. It's absolutely free. Go to it by www.t.me/the Simply Bitcoin channel. Anyways, Opti, I think we're running out of time, my friend. We will do software release mañana. Guys, Jay, Tommy, thank you so much for joining us on Simply. Why don't you tell everybody where people could find you on social media?
You can find us on Facebook or LinkedIn, or just go to geobitmine.com to get in touch with us. We're working on getting more involved with Twitter. We are also on Twitter. Thank you so much for having us.
And if people are interested, perhaps they're a farmer, perhaps they have their green farm, right? They go to you and you will walk them through what exactly?
Yeah, so if a farmer on a commercial scale, it'd be a little bit of overkill if we were to send a pod to a small shrubbery greenhouse. But if you have a decent sized greenhouse, we would walk you through doing a energy study, and then we'd go through a case study to see how much money you would save annually on your OPEX heating and cooling costs. We pay for all the infrastructure, the upgrades. We just simply sign a contract that says you'll buy the waste heat for a fraction of what you're used to paying.
That is awesome. And of course, it's leveraging Bitcoin, which is beautiful. Very unique, guys. That's the first time. It was really fascinating when we spoke at the mining conference. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. I'm going to put you backstage in a little bit while I wrap up. Opti, why don't you tell everybody where they could find us?
Yes. Yes. We are on Anchor. We are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. I think we're on like almost every app or almost every podcast app out there. So you can find our content, Simply Bitcoin. But we are on Fountain. And I just realized I still haven't gone on the Fountain login, Nico. So that's my bad. I'll take that on myself. But we love you guys out there in the Valley for Valley economy, streaming us sats, continuing to clip our show on Twitter and posting that stuff out there. Again, guys, we're just trying to push the sound money gospel, push Bitcoin as far and wide as possible so people understand that Bitcoin is here for them when they need it. So continue pushing that out there, guys. Continue to listen to the content. Oh, also, shouts out to Guy Swan for reading one of our articles on Bitcoin Audible. Go check it out. He did the which one was it? Wow, I'm blanking on which one it is. Yeah. I have it over here somewhere.
Guys, check out representltd.com. They make some very look at Opti. Opti's wearing the Bitcoin merch from Represent Ltd. I'm wearing the camo hoodie. You guys know I like the camo hoodie. It's stylish, it's comfy, makes Bitcoin merch. He's making Simply Bitcoin merch, and you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 10% off, either in the video description or the podcast description. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Simply Bitcoin. We love you all. We appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and of course, we will see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best.